this video, I'm going to be going over the process of painting an Imperial Fist Space Marine. This just happens to be a rider for a Space Marine bike, but the process will be the same for all Imperial Fist models. I've already gone through the first couple steps here. The first step was to base the model with a choppy bone, and I actually used my airbrush to base the models before doing that. And then I washed it with Agrath's Earthshade. But I tried to keep the wash into the recesses only, so it would make the next step a lot easier. So I'm going to grab some choppy bone. Now step 3 is to layer up the armor around the washes, leaving the recesses with the wash still in them. Now choppy bone does not have a lot of pigment in it, so you will have to probably go over each spot 2 or 3 times with thin layers to get the wash completely covered up, which is why I wanted to keep as much off the armor as I possibly could. Okay, so I just went ahead and paused the video and went and finished up the layering. That was mainly because I don't have a whole lot of hard drive space. I didn't want to film the whole thing. So here we are after the layer of a choppy bone, which does take actually quite a bit of work. The next layer is going to be a mix of a choppy bone and ceramite white. And I've actually got a mix of it sitting here in an old wash bottle. The reason why I use a ceramite white is because it's actually, if you've ever used ceramite white, it's actually a little bit of a muted white. I don't know how the color is going to show up on here because it isn't mixed either. But it's kind of a little bit gray blue white. It's not a pure white, so it really helps. I think it's a really nice color. So what we're going to do with this mix of choppy bone and ceramite white is just layer everything up once. See it. That's what let's try that. it's a little bit of a thin mix. You might have to go through and layer and get a couple coats on here. So we're just going to go through and line everything there. Like that. The exception is going to be the shoulder pads. Actually, I'm going to do, instead of just doing a line, I'm going to do like a slight blend and start at the bottom, kind of push it up about halfway down the shoulder pad. And same here with the top of the round parts here on the backpack. A good amount of highlight on there. I might do it right over that. That. Good. So the skin, so that's basically where we're at. We're going to be giving it a nice highlight of this mix. And I'm going to go ahead and finish it up. It really won't take very long, but I'm going to finish it up and be right back. Okay, so I've gone ahead and done all the highlighting with the mix of Ashabi bone and ceramite white. So now we're going to use a pure white, in this case skull white, and just do a line edge highlighting everywhere. There will be some exceptions to the line highlights. I'm not going to do line highlights on the shoulder pads. Just give it another layer of white on the tops. Same with the tops of the backpack here. Just give it another layer. Same here on the top of the arms, just going to get like that. Just need to focus. But that's it, everyone else is just going to get edge of white. So again, this isn't really going to take all that long, so I'm going to pause the video and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've gone ahead and finished up the line highlighting, and so now we're basically done with the layers on the armor. And now we need to transform it into an actual Imperial Fist, and from that we're going to use Citadel Glaze Lamenter's Yellow. Now Glaze is not the same as a wash. The biggest difference between the two is that a wash usually contains an extra material to help break up the surface tension, so it will run down into the surface, into the cracks. Glaze doesn't have that. And the glaze can definitely vary in intensity. So while you're putting on, you actually want to be very careful as to how much you're putting on. You want to try and get as much consistency as you possibly can. And generally what I like to do is 2 thin coats of Lamenter's Yellow on these guys to get the final decent color. And use a different brush. I'm trashing that one. This definitely does not need a good brush. So don't try and use a glaze as a wash or a wash as a glaze. It's not going to work. Bad framing again. See how well that works at both. Of course, the more coats you put on here, the more your layers will become harder to see. So that's why I like 2 thin coats. We'll get the color that I want. Although I should say my plant ones, because this is actually a commission. You want to make sure you get into the cracks, crevices here. Between the, don't want to leave anywhere that isn't yellow. Just turns into a very nice yellow. So this is going to get a second coat, which will increase the intensity yellow dramatically. See how all the layers and highlights are still there behind me. That's not working. First, when doing this, you want to go quickly so you get the, but you don't want to go so quickly that you get the ferrule on the paint and scrape something off. looks good. I think I got it everywhere. And all I have to do is let this layer dry and then give it a second coat. And let that dry. So that's how you transform it into Imperial Fist using base colors and then the glaze. You can still see all the highlights underneath the yellow. But anyway, I'm going to let it dry and get this dried, doing the coat, and I'll be back in a little while. Okay, as you can see here, the second layer of yellow has come out really well, and you can definitely see all the highlights through the glaze. And also off camera I've gone ahead and done a little other detail. I painted the vents on the backpack black, his mouthpiece black, these bits here in the chest and this antenna Vulcan, and then washed those with Agres or shade. So really all this stuff is a little bit of detail. The first color we're going to use is Scar Red, and just give the eyes a base coat of that. I'm going to give a highlight to the eyes here with the fist on red. And I'm going to come over here and paint this skull on his backpack red. And the rims of the shoulder pads are going to get painted red. And then when I'm done with this part, I'm going to wash the chest eagle and the skull with Newen oil. So I'm going to try and get this done here off camera since I'm in a very awkward position. I don't want to screw this up. And I'll be right back. Okay, so I finished the red shoulder pads, and I go ahead and wash the other areas with black. So we're just going to go through and highlight skull here, and then come over here and do the chest eagle. Spots I forgot. Okay, so there is my highlighted chest eagle. So I just gotta go back and fix that one mistake I made. give it a wash. Just carefully paint that into the gap. To restore, fix that mistake. Okay. One last step on the painting, and we're going to highlight the red with the Troll Slayer orange. Here's a handy tip for keeping your pots open. If you want to paint that way, I just stick a toothpick right in there, pulls the pot right open. So I go over here in the back. Just kind of highlight. Over here, highlight the chest eagle. Too much paint, so now I'm just going to go in and hit the very tip of each feather, the orange. If you're doing like an infantry model, has a bolter, you can definitely paint the bolter red or black to go with this. Okay, there's the chest eagle. The last step is to take the orange and give it an edge highlight. Shoulder pads. First part of this is trying to get underneath the backpack. Not getting the orange paint on the backpack itself. Oh, yeah, and then of course we want to do one last little highlighted Troll Slayer orange on the eyes. Okay, pretty much finishes up the painting for this guy, but he's not quite done yet. I'll be right back. Okay, the next step is to prepare the shoulder pads for decals, and for that we're going to build up a few layers of thin gloss varnish. I'm going to use Vallejo gloss varnish, and I thin it out quite a bit, and I build up several very thin layers. You dry thoroughly between each, which really doesn't take very long, but dry thoroughly between each layer. And that'll give us a nice smooth surface in which to apply the decal. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and let this build up, dry off, build up a few layers here, and when we're ready to do the decals, I'll be back. Okay, so the gloss varnish is dried, and I've moved the model onto a paint pot here. It can be a little easier to work with. So what we're going to do is put the decals on. I'm going to put a Imperial Fist decal on the one shoulder pad. And because it's a back rider, I'm going to put a Fast Attack one on the other shoulder pad. trim these down to be as close to the decal as possible. We don't want a lot of extra clear bits on the outside of the decal. You need a pretty sharp knife for this. And also with this X here, I'm going to put a little slit. I wish I could cut it out more, but I'm just going to put a little slit here between all the white slots. That'll help the decal curve. And this one I'm just going to go as close as possible to the black ring that I can do with my knife. Because this is the one that's really hard to do, because it's a flat, round decal trying to go onto a curved surface. So no matter, and it just takes a lot of work to get this to sit flat on the shoulder pad. And of course cutting it out as close as possible. Really helps. I'm trying to get all these little pieces out of the way because you don't want to get some extra clear stuff on the model. Need a little bit of water. And of course the miracle workers of microsol and microset. Basically with the Imperial Fist decal, without this stuff you're never going to get this on the model correctly. It's just no way. I'm going to start with the easy one here. Grab the fast pack one. Let's sit there and soak in the water. Now the first one is the microset, and it's easy to tell if you forget which one's which. They actually say number 1 and number 2 right on the bottles, so that's how I remember which one goes first. This actually acts as an adhesive. So I'm going to pop that on to the shoulder pad. No, that's the wrong shoulder pad. That doesn't matter. So the shoulder pad here. Position. Looks good. Now I'm going to push down on it very carefully. Squeeze out all the water. And you will see some folds and stuff in there. That's fine. That's what the microsol is for. Okay. Now for the fist. See if you can see the. The edges are folded over, and yeah, it needs to still lay flat on the model. Just make sure we get a nice coat of the microsol set on there. Set. Oopsie. Push it down. Okay, well, that's really bad. It's basically not on there at all. Okay, so that's all we need for the microset, because that gets underneath there and helps adhere the decal to the model. This is the stuff that will soften and make the decal lay flat. So basically we're going to soak in the microsol and then let it dry. And this will take several coats of the microsol to get it to sit flat. This one will only take a couple coats. And when you're doing it, you try and brush the wrinkles out, but you have to be very careful because once the microsol gets into the decal, it comes very, very soft and very easy to damage. So you don't want to do a whole lot of brushing, just very gently try and get the wrinkles out as you're putting on the microsole. And you just have to let it dry between coats. And the more you do it, the better it will adhere. You just have to keep doing it over and over again until you get it perfect. And this is something you're definitely going to have to practice at to get it right. But the nice thing is there are only decals. If you screw up, you can pull it off, get another one, and try it again until you get it just right. So don't be... But again, without this stuff, this Imperial Fist decal is never going to sit on here right at all. It's always going to look like crap. The alternative, if you have the ability to paint the circle and the black ring, you could just cut out the fist itself and put that on. That would be a lot easier to adhere if you can. But that's really it. So I'm going to let this dry before I go to the next coat. But on an Imperial Fist decal, I've been finding it takes several coats, 4, 5, 6 times with the microsole to get that decal to sit flat. And once that's all is sitting flat, we will, of course, finish up the bike. So here is a finished example. Let's see how well the decal is sitting flat on there. This one still needs clear coating. Is the final bike. And if you want to do, so these are red bolters. The customer wanted, this isn't mine, it's for a commission. The customer decided to go with the silver trim on the bikes and the red bolters. The alternative way, you could do the trim in red and the bolters in black. So if you're doing bolters on like a tactical marine, you can go either the red highlighted with the orange, like I did with the shoulder pads, or you can go with black bolters. But this is the final product. Imperial Fist biker. So, any questions? Let me know. Again, this was all done with the Glaze, the bike too. And any questions, leave them below. Please comment, rate, and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for watching.